Welcome to another episode of Trucker Talk. It's a beautiful, can I say it's spring? It's a beautiful day. Well, listen, I know the other day I had pants and stuff on. I had to bring out the toboggan. I was like, I went to the store, went to Lowe's yesterday, had to bring my toboggan and jacket out, but I had shorts on the other day. I don't know, man.
Hey, East Tennessee.
It's Tennessee weather, man. It's different, but
might snow tomorrow. We don't know.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. But anyways,
oh God,
so you doing pretty good?
And I'm good, brother. I'm good.
Go ahead. I'm gonna do a little different today. I'm gonna go ahead and do the safety tip of the day, and I'm gonna go back to what Austin talked about today. So, CDL or people in your personal vehicle.
Yeah.
The GOAL rule, GOAL. Get out and look. So never assume that you have enough clearance when backing or back into a tight space or a dock or a parking space. If you're in doubt, stop, set your brakes or put it in park and get out and check your surroundings. Taking 30 seconds to look can prevent thousands of dollars in damage and protect your CDL or your driver license.
True. No, that's bottom line. Bottom line.
And
you know, I'm gonna add one more to this. You know, when Jason told us about got side swipe this morning.
Yes.
That's another one. Never use your side mirrors. Just don't depend on them all the time. I would glance and look to make sure before you decide to shift lanes.
Yeah, the lady came.
Yeah, she came out of nowhere, didn't
she? He didn't have too much of a choice.
Yeah. But what was she thinking though? Anyway, that's that's another podcast.
You would have had to be in the car.
Yeah. What he said, what are you doing? Then she blamed it on him.
But if he didn't have that camera,
his word against hers.
It would have been his word against her word. So that inspired me. I'm like, shoot, I might, put me a camera in my truck. You never know.
Well,
it can protect you. So, but yeah, the message today, I looked over you and I said, yeah, Austin was talking about you because he gave the analogy. Well, the video when they was recording, they was put in a mat and the sheep was on the rock, I guess the baby sheep and the mama sheep. And so it was, his analogy, the way he broke it down and explained it, because I was watching the video and I'm just like, okay, but the sheep was at the very top and the baby sheep or the younger sheep was in danger. Well, didn't know that he or she was in danger. And so the mother came back up there to lead the sheep to a safe place. And so the message today that he was saying is, there's a lot of lost people. There's a lot of people out there in the world that are, I don't know what direction they're going in, but you can be that person to invite them, which Easter Sunday, Heart and Soul, got a 8:30, 10 o'clock, 11:30, and 1 p.m. service. So here's my invite card, but it's right here. But they're having 4 services. So, but yeah, the message, it was pretty deep, man. I was like, going back to when you invited me,
For one,
I was dealing with some things, and I appreciate that. So
I'm glad you accepted it right. We talk about that. It said most people are most likely to accept an invitation on Easter because, that's when most of the churches are full on just a normal basis on this. I guess Easter Sunday, people just realize they want to go to church. And sometimes that's when the spirit may feel like they need to go, just give them an invite and hopefully they'll show up and come back again when it's not Easter.
Saying that, when I was at my mama's church, everybody's mother, brother, cousin, uncle, they all showed up, fresh outfits and everything. But the following Sunday, back to business as usual.
Yeah. But then you hope that, they get that feeling. They decide to come back, maybe not consistently come back, but come back more often than they did before they came on that Easter Sunday.
Yeah, but you gotta
stay on it.
But you gotta want to learn and grow. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there, and I was one of them kids. I was forced to go to church. And I say this and I say it again. I didn't like going, but I'm grateful that my mom and dad, got me into the church because that's where it started.
Yes. Yeah.
Now I'm back into the church. So
Circle.
everybody's got their own, I guess, religion and stuff like that. And talk about Christian, you think about Christianity. I can't name all the different denominations,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, most of them, you got that end goal where
Yep. End goal
where
is the same.
it's the same. So
got
it's just a
different-
matter of what you pick and choose.
Just a different avenue of getting there, a different vehicle.
Different vehicle road, different. But yeah, so today we ain't talking about other people. We're talking about you, your choices, your energy, your understanding of your own sexuality. So before you can connect with somebody else, you got to understand yourself. So what does sexuality mean for you? Not society's definition, your own. So what attracts you? Let's start out with that. Like every individual, you can talk, you can be, well, not saying you can go into it any kind of way you want it, but you attract, what they say, you attract what you attract or what you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Not that's a tough one
So
too. It is.
it is tough because, what you attract and going to what turns you off, uh, what turns you off. So, me, there's a lot of things that turn me off when it comes to individuals or people, and their personalities, their attitudes, their morals, their principles. A lot of those things, as far as me personally, that can be a turn off for me.
I think one of the probably, it varies between men and women, and nowadays it's probably equally.
Yes.
I think the appearance of a person, not necessarily,
Appearance.
not necessarily beauty, hygiene, how they dressed, which falls into a visual side of it. Then, because if you're looking at, if you're looking at something, look at it because it inspires you to look at it, or it gets your attention. Whether it's a person that's nice and groomed,
Okay.
clothes are not wrinkled, little things like that you look at, and that determines like, no, probably not. Because I've seen people walking, they have flip flops on, and heels are just terrible. And you look at their feet. Now that's their feet. You're thinking, God, your feet are awful. And I know it's petty, but the feet are just really, the heels are bad, the toes and nails are growing over, dirty fingernails. Just little things like that. Like say you look for certain things, then you go in. I think you go into the attraction part. Once you bypass those things,
Okay.
like other things that you really like about a person. Like you said, your personality to me is a big thing.
It's a big thing.
It's a big thing. Personality, self-confidence to me is a big thing.
Right.
So I think it's going to vary. It all depends on, like I said, it depends on what your morals are too, because it depends on what your intentions are. That's a big one. Because if your intentions, you may not care about that thing because it's like, I won't see you tomorrow after the night anyway.
Correct.
So yeah.
No, I like how you broke down because I would think about the fingernails.
Yeah, but think about it.
I would think like
that first attraction, and that even though it's sexuality, and some women are like that. It's like, man, this dude got oil on his fingernails. His hair he needs a haircut. The shave is like, where's his neck? You know what I mean?
This one girl told me, I ain't gonna say her name, but when I dated her, she said at first, I don't know why, but she said she look at guys' shoes. So she said, if I look at a guy's shoes, they busted up or they this and that. She said, I ain't gonna talk to her. I said, dang. But it opened my eyes,
yeah, but it allows her
so
if you
I
look
was
at
like,
the shoes like that, it's like if you get to this point, what is the rest like?
God.
That man, and it could be totally overshooting it, but like certain things you just look at, like so for a lot of girls, it's like, you first time you meet a woman, you shake her hand and you grab her, she grabs your hand to shake it. And if you're shaking hands and you got all underneath your fingernails, they're dirty, and your hands are dirty. Well, I just got to working on the car. Did you not take a shower before you got here? All this stuff runs through your mind, but it's still sexuality because it's an attraction that leads to other things.
First impressions and lasting impressions.
Morning.
So,
but anyway, that might be a little bit more too much information, but it's truth. It's out there.
With sexuality, you can have different segments and go into different things, but this is what we're talking about today. But as far as a lot of people are active but not aware. So self-awareness and accountability. So owning your decisions, who you deal with, why you deal with them, patterns you repeat. So I guess with self-awareness, just like you always tell me that I keep fishing in the same, if I keep fishing in the same pond, I'm gonna get the same thing. And I've heard that probably most of my life, but you keep saying the same thing too, because it's always the same result. So as I've gotten smarter and older, just like, who you deal with, why you do it, I'm fishing in a different pond now. So because regardless of how good it looks, how good it smells, whatever, it don't even matter, because if their mentality and the way that they are, well, you would say if it looks like a duck and if it looks like that, it's a duck. So I don't care what it looks like or what they look like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. So don't matter how much makeup or whatever they put on. Same thing.
You can cover up anything with makeup, and for men. I'm not. We're not talking about just
men
women.
And women, yeah, both, yeah, men and women. And so let me apologize.
Yeah,
so.
And I use that analogy because to me, that's logically the way I see it. And in fact, I was talking to somebody at church about that. We was talking about. Anyway, it was you came up, but we was a friend of ours. But long story short, I use that analogy because if you think about it, if you say if you grew up in a small town or a small neighborhood, you never get out of that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
People that in the neighborhood, they are still dating in that same area. So they haven't come out. So the reason I use that analogy, if you fish in the same pond, you're gonna catch the fish because somebody else threw it back. You're gonna catch it. You throw it back, somebody else gonna catch it. It's just a cycle of catching the same thing. So now everybody's been with everybody because they're fishing in the same pond.
Right.
That's why I like using that analogy. It just makes you have, like I've told you before, you got to find another fishing hole. And also the other not using, depending on the bait you use to catch fish, the bait you use determines what kind of fish you're going to catch.
I like that. I like that. That is true. So
it is. It's logical.
It's logical. It's true, man. So trauma, influence, and learned behavior. So how past experiences shape sexuality. It can be you give childhood exposure, your past relationships, or even social media. So just like with people, I've talked to people, I know people that's far as, and I'm not, it can be gay, straight, lesbian, whatever. And so, and depending on the person and what they dealt with, like say if they was either molested or, exposed to something in their childhood, and then as they gotten older, they carry that trauma with them. So that's something that they choose to do. You can't really, like, everybody wants to, shame people and call you this and that. So, I mean, people do it. I mean, I'm not telling, people what to do, because I do, as far as my own, I love everybody. I treat everybody with respect, but everybody's different. So, but I've known people in situations that's been in situations like that, and it's like, they say, oh, well, you're this, you're that. And it's like, I don't judge nobody. I don't treat nobody a certain way. That's what somebody chooses to do. That's what they choose to do. As long as they're respectful and they're nice to me, I don't care, what people do. But like I said, there again, that whole, as far as sexuality thing, I mean, people, like I said, it can be from past relationships or even childhood trauma.
We hadn't done any, we talked about this earlier, I mean, you can go back and do, say, statistics on this stuff. I'm sure you'll find a lot of the numbers are really high. And sometimes based on what I've read and listened to, a lot of times that trauma does come from those past history or that of childhood trauma.
Right.
Exposed to certain things or certain things that happen to you at a young age, you kind of learn to adapt it, especially if it's a continuous cycle. And that's all you
Right.
know. And you just like, I guess this is normal because in your
Right.
brain, it's happening so much. It has to be normal.
Right.
You don't come out of that shell. And of course, a lot of people end up in therapy and they talk about it. It's like, I thought it was okay.
Right.
Because you were programmed to think that way by the repeating of, say, whatever happened, but regardless of whatever it is.
Correct. And especially it's I mean, it's terrible, but it's real, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to people, but some of what you call your preference, I like this. Some of what you call your preference might actually be something you learn from pain. So some of what you call your preference might actually be something you learn from pain. I can relate to that because I know for some years I was just, and I call it my dark. I don't even need to call it my dark times because there was a certain way, and there again, like I said, I had a sex addiction. I ain't ashamed of it. I've been there, I done that, and what I learned when I was dealing with pain and dealing with life and stress and everything else. At the time, they say it felt good. It was good. I mean, I thought it was all good, but you don't realize when you do get older that how I always say this, that bit or what I say, that debt, not the debt that's got to be paid, but somebody's coming to collect that check.
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Somebody's coming to collect that check. So that when they say you deal with demons, that demon's coming back to you to haunt you, and it will haunt you because I'm speaking from experience. Been there, done that. So I can do my self-help books and I can cry. Shoot, I used to drink and do all that other stuff, and guess what? It didn't fix it. It was still there.
Yes.
But I had to learn. So, but yeah, so discipline over desire. So controlling urges versus being controlled by them. I had to give up things because at one point in time they was controlling me, and I was just just in like I said, a whole nother world. But I was that's just where I was at that point in time in my life.
But those are also crutches and desires. They work.
It is a crutch.
They work. They work for they work for the intent that they were intended to work for. They cover up other things. So yeah.
But and I said this on one of the other episodes. You can do a method just like when you're younger. You can do a method and do something. It will get you through this and get you through that in life. But you get to a certain point where it don't work no more. And so when it don't work no more, then what do you do?
Straight, just like the people who drink, people who do drugs, chasing the first high.
Right.
You need a high higher than that high.
Correct.
So it's a domino effect. Each higher you get, you got to chase it, or whatever the situation is, you got to chase that desire because that one ain't working anymore.
Correct.
So yeah, it is. And this, like I said, we just speak from experience and what we talk about all the time, and friends and family that we've listened to, and these things come up, and it's so real out there. Just people don't really understand this. I think they overlook certain things, and it's like, this is a serious thing.
It is serious. Well, you can tell just by people's behaviors. You can tell, man. It's serious. So, short-term pleasure versus long-term peace. Like I said, somebody got to pay that check, man. Like I said, it's a short-term pleasure, but when you got time to sit and soak in and think about it, it will come back and it will slap you right in the face. So everything that feels good ain't good for you. Everything that feels good ain't good for you.
Yep.
So, and this next one, emotional attachment and energy, soul ties and emotional connections. Hey, I'm not gonna say the person's name. Me and you had this conversation
A
and
lot of times, yeah. more than I can count. But it's still a good conversation. We still talk about it
she
because
made
it's just true. It's fact, you know.
no, because at one point in time, an individual they was like, "Hey, we need our souls to connect and this and that." We had that conversation many times, and I'm just like, you got to get to know somebody. You can't just connect souls. You can't just do that because once you get that emotional connection with that person, it's going to be hard to break away from them. But some people, that's where some people start off, and
Yeah.
I've seen it too many times. Then they're like, well, sex got us close to each other, but they didn't think about their personal behaviors or the finances or
Baggage that comes
the
along with
baggage that comes along with what that person is dealing with. So then once they see that, they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know they was like this. I didn't even see it." I'm like,
Didn't see it, right?
you
They
didn't give
see it.
yourself time to see it
Mhm.
because you jumped. You went ahead and jumped in the bed.
Yep.
And for some people it works. Like some people, I'm not gonna say they're heartless, but they've been hurt and they're so broken that soul ties and stuff, and they don't even apply to them because they're so broken. It doesn't even matter.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people do hurt people, and it took me to get older to as I reflect back on some things. And I've been there. I've hurt people. I was hurt, and I used to carry a lot of anger around, carry a lot of baggage, and unprocessed emotions and unprocessed trauma and grief. I carried all that around, and so guess what? Whoever it hit, I just threw it off on the first person. I ain't gonna say the first person, but I normally just threw it off on other people.
Yep.
And when I look back on some things, I know some people say when I worked at Cisco, I was cranky, but I mean, I was under a lot of pressure, sleep schedule, work schedule. And so I might have been a little snappy, but you know, I was just at that time I was under a lot of pressure.
And mentally, I think too, you're trying to deal with a lot of you're dealing with all the stuff at once. So
Correct.
once the pile gets bigger, it's just hard to shovel it off. You can't shake it off anymore. So it's just steady piling up. It becomes emotional, and then that's when it decide to get snappy or short fuse or whatever you want to call it, because you don't know how to react. You don't know what to do about it.
Right.
So you just release it on whoever's around.
Yeah, you just exactly. So as far as the connection, so I'm asking, so why are some connections hard to break? Like like you have connection with somebody, like why do you think some
I
connections are
think
hard?
it's an emotional attachment.
Okay.
And one or two things you can look at this. You can say you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you don't want your feelings to be hurt. So if you leave them, your feelings are going to be hurt because what you thought you had or what you assumed you got, you don't want to lose. But if they leave you, now your feelings are hurt because you may have thought, well, what did I do wrong? And then that happens in a lot of relationships. Like, well, what did I do? You didn't do anything. We need our space. So obviously there's something going on if this wants to happen. So yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, that's just one way of looking at it. In my opinion, that's why I see it.
All right. And here's a question for the listener. So you ever notice some people you can't let go of even when they are bad for you? I've been down that road, so I've noticed. Yeah. You ever notice some people who you can't let go of even when they're bad for you? And to go back, we've talked about this how well it all depends on the individual and what
Yeah.
they're wanting out of that other person. Because they can be bad to them, they can treat them bad, but at the end of the day, they're staying or they're there for a reason.
And I'm thinking, not looking at this thing through another set of lenses. Sometimes people look for trauma. They look for unhealthy relationships. That's the only way they know the
They
function.
look for it.
Well, that's the only way they know the function. Because I don't think sometimes they can function in a normal. I knew somebody like that. It's like this thing is so dysfunctional, but it works.
It works.
Well, I ain't gonna say it works. It's what they used to.
Yeah.
Going back to trauma, childhood trauma. If you used to this behavior, this is what you're gonna look for. This is what you accept to be norm.
And I remember it's been some years and years ago. I would go on certain dates and stuff. And some of the women, they be like, "Are you normal? Are you?" And I'm thinking like, I don't know what the world has come to, but they was used to certain, guys sending them this, sending them pics, and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
When I don't do that, there's something wrong with me. So in my mind, I'm like, what's really going on in this world? That's what they're used to. But there again, that might have been something that they're used to, and not saying something that they was expecting, but at that day and time, that's what they was used to, and that's
What was normalized?
what was
What
normalized.
Pastor Austin talked about. What's normalized? What is accepted? So you
Yeah,
figure the 99% of the people that do it, and you that 1% that don't. It's like,
what's wrong with you?
or it's just like I'm in the fitness and health and bodybuilding, and back when I started, working out, in bodybuilding, there was no growth hormones or EP supposed to enhance drugs.
Right,
Now it's normal to be on something.
right,
It's abnormal to not be on anything. It's like, are you not taking anything? Why not? Everybody else is doing it.
right.
So it become normalized and you accept it. And you hear that quite a bit. People like, what so like I said, the question was, it's like, what do you accept? I mean, it is. It's normalized. So you kind of go with what the rest of the world or society think is right.
Right, right, right.
That falls back into your own morals. Like I talked about earlier.
Yes, it does, man. And as far as personal boundaries, sometimes knowing you got to know when to say no. You got to protect your energy because at the end of the day, it's your body, your energy, your rules. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Right. And think about protecting your
Not-
boundaries. I think sometimes people don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. So they let them in, and then they wish they hadn't once to get past that, let's say cross that line, across to get into those boundaries. Now you can't get rid of that person because it's just not even good for you. The energy is bad once they get in like that.
right, right. Rough, man.
Yeah.
But so the growth and evolving. So sometimes you got to let go of old habits. Your sexuality can evolve as you grow. You're not the same person you used to be. So why keep making the same choices?
Behaviors.
Just saying, man, your sexuality can evolve as you grow. You're not the same person you used to be. So why keep making the same choices? Wow, man.
And expecting a different outcome. Talked about that 100
Yeah,
times.
it's the definition of insanity. So that's why sometimes, and like I said, as myself, I'm gonna switch some things up, and I'm gonna start fishing in different ponds and making better choices and other things. So, a reflection question for the listeners, and this some good questions. Am I making decisions out of loneliness or clarity? Um, do I feel fulfilled or empty after my experiences? After my experiences. So, yeah. Now, them two questions, I can relate to them because am I making decisions out of loneliness or clarity? Clarity. I've been there.
Yeah.
Do I feel fulfilled or empty after my experiences? I've been there. So it's it's real. It's real. And yeah, I felt empty. And let me just say that because that was a hard pill to swallow. No matter, I ain't gonna say how high you are or how, what do you call them or I forget. I'm even gonna try to describe the whatever, but it doesn't matter how high you get or how good it makes you feel. At the end of the day, yeah, you going that like I said, that elevator got to come back down, man.
Yeah. You get
It's
high.
got
It's like a sugar rush. You get the caffeine, the sugar rush, and all of a sudden you just drop.
to come right back down. So
Probably worse when and normally it's worse when you drop back down. Good morning. What did that for?
hey, when you sent me that text, I was dealing with that.
Yeah.
You say I ain't gonna say worse, it was worse. So the closing message. Understanding your sexuality isn't about judging yourself. It's about learning yourself. That's
Like
deep,
that.
man,
I like
because
that.
people, anybody and everybody can go out and experiment in this world, but understanding your sexuality isn't about judging yourself. It's about learning yourself. So it's learning what you like, learning. I guess I don't know if I can say learning what makes you feel good, because like I said, everything that feels good
Ain't good for you.
ain't good for you. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do the disclaimer. I don't want to throw that out there. So, but you got anything you want to add to
No, that
that?
was about it. Because we talked about this earlier, and I said, this is a topic that you can just break it down in so many levels. It can go on for weeks talking about the same thing, because you can get really deep into this, which I'm not qualified to do, so we won't. But we just basically use our opinion and what we learn from other friends and that we talk to, and other people, and that we coworkers or whatever.
Right.
I like listening to people all the time, and a lot of stuff we learn from experience, and that's kind of really what this podcast is about. These are our experiences and our opinions, that how we look at things. After you do your research on it, I said, I can relate to this. So you said, of course, to a lot of it, and
Right.
so is I. And sure, the listeners, there's a lot of people that
Listen.
listen. But like you say, you just have to sometimes assess yourself.
Right.
And it's not, if what to say is not, can't be everybody else. What part do I play in this? Yeah, because you hear a lot.
You always say nobody wants to talk about the part they played in it, but they point fingers. Point fingers all day long.
Two stories. You told me it's what three? Is always
three sides to a story. Yep. Always three sides to a story. Mine, yours, and the truth.
And it's
just saying,
and it's truth. And that's we use it as humor, but it's so true. And I think nowadays people just avoid certain things because it hurts. It triggers other things, and work through it and figure out what's going on. It's going to continue to do this. It's not going to end. It gets.
Yeah, but when you avoid, you saying it, when you avoid something, I mean, it does hurt, but when it does when that elevator does drop, it hurts even more.
Yeah. Ooh.
So you either gonna hurt, I guess you're gonna, like putting a Band-Aid on something. You're gonna walk around with a Band-Aid, and then when they get infected, that's even worse.
Or you get a bigger Band-Aid?
Can't buy a bigger Band-Aid. It don't work like that. It just, and then it just gets worse. I ain't gonna say where it gets worse.
Yeah.
So, but if you ain't got anything else to add, hey, as always, it's been a pleasure. Remember, GOAL, get out and look. Make sure you don't hit nobody. Just make sure you don't hit my vehicle either. So. As always, right, appreciate y'all.
Thank y'all.
Hope y'all have a good day.
It's the drip from Mr. Ozar.